Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I felt like staying back there. I was enjoying that. You know what I'm saying? Can we just acknowledge Doug and the guys and Jody and the team? Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Doug. That is great. Let me just quickly check you out, because in the nicest possible way. How many of you, just let me go through this, have heard me before? Can I just see? Let's have a look. Whoa, that's fewer than I thought. Show me your hands again. For those of you who don't have your hands up, these are the slow learners. They came back to learn more, right? So, no, not at all. They're the fast learners. So where are the people that haven't heard me before? Wow, that's interesting. That might change a little bit of what we do today. So let's say, first of all, I am really thrilled to be here. I'm very humbled to be here. And most importantly, I'm very honored to be here. And that's part of the reason for that is that in a very real sense, you had a choice, right? There's all sorts of things that you could have been doing on a Tuesday night. It is Tuesday, isn't it? I'm sort of a bit lost. But I kind of had to be here, right? Well, you didn't. And I'm just so thrilled and honored that you took that choice. And I promise you that as a result of taking that choice, if this is okay with you, that you will be richly rewarded for taking that choice. Now, I just need to check, is that okay? Oh, good. Okay, you're in the right place then. There we go. And now we also had some people who came to see me today, which was actually yesterday as well. So where are those people we had what are called one-on-ones with, right? So Charlie back there, just really quickly, how was the one-on-one?
It was terrible.
Terrible.
No, it was fantastic.
In what sense? In what sense?
It really helped me focus on a lot of the things that I have been working on with Doug for the last few months since we had our last World Cup.
Right.
It really helped focus some of the key areas that we were missing. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
And so you were able to implement straight away and get some things done. And
Well, I continued working on what we started in the morning, and I have something to show you that.
oh, come on, show us now. No. All righty. Who else was there today? Let's see. Oh, you were there. Yes, indeed. Katie, tell us what you got from the day.
I mean, already like 2 or 3 new things that we're going to be implementing in the business tomorrow. And then I can't wait to re-listen to everything that we went through.
Oh, because you recorded that.
Yeah, we recorded it and literally just...
Recordings are available at a significant price, by the way, so you can yeah.
Just finished about an hour ago, so excited to go back and re-listen to really make our notes and help with our why so that we can share that with our clients on every meeting that we have.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? That kind of thing that came up there.
Yeah.
And then Claire and Chris, you kicked off the morning, or we kicked off the morning together. So how was that for you this morning?
It was great.
Yeah? What made it great?
Well, you, of course.
My answer to that is you, but anyway, yeah.
Just the opportunity to sort of pause in the chaos and really look and be much more intentional about the future, both immediate and long term, and some of the strategies and possibilities for that.
And we worked, you may remember, on some interesting things about how you get into those meetings, and we worked a little bit on your why, and we talked about B1G1 and all of that kind of stuff. So it was very powerful. You really set a very great tone for the day. Antoine,
Yes, sir.
or as some people referred to him as today, that French guy. Don't spend this again, but we got into the meeting and Antoine said, just before we begin, I just want to say a couple of things. And the couple of things that he said took, I reckon, about 12 minutes. So we don't have 12 minutes, but we may have a few seconds. So just talk about what we've done and where that's all led and stuff.
Well, what I told you, and then I'll do the 60-second version.
Yeah, okay.
There are a few people that have impacted my life very deeply. One of them was Anthony Robbins, when I was really at the bottom of my life, and it was a long time ago because I had a Walkman and a few cassette tapes. So for those of you, like, I'm dating myself, but that was those times.
Could you explain to Leon what a cassette tape is? It's kind of, sort of, yeah.
Right. The second person was Gary Vee.
Yep.
And Gary Vaynerchuk, for those that are in digital marketing. And the third person was you. You had an amazing impact. I became a member of the B1G1, and I have access to you, and I discovered that, and I was like, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. And I talked to you I took the appointment, what I thought was 3:15 in the afternoon, which was 3:15 in the morning.
Yes.
So be careful, he's in Singapore.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It
Yeah.
was an amazing call, and you got my why, and it was a one-take thing, and it literally transformed my life. Because what I told you is I was pissed off I didn't meet you. Where were you 25 years ago? But you know, it's just like that. That's my course. So you know, it's a huge acknowledgement. Like you are one of those milestones in my life where you made that. What you said made all the difference.
I was hoping you were going to talk about you more than me, but you did say some interesting things, that you are now making sales that you never could conceive of making and stuff
Right.
like.
What it was different really is how I approach my clients, because I don't approach my prospects and my clients the way I used to. I approach it at who I am,
Yeah.
and that makes all the world of difference.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell anything. This
There
is
you go.
who I am.
Right.
This is what you can count on, and that's that.
There you
So
go.
it either works for you or it doesn't, and well, usually people are getting me because they're looking for something like that.
Excellent.
But this is me, so that's really the huge difference. I'm not selling anything.
There you go. That was 60 seconds, by the way. This is really cool. Can we just acknowledge all of those guys? Thank you very much, guys, for doing that. And Kelly was here as well. How did you go with Eric after on the way home?
We kind of parted ways, but we will regroup tomorrow, and I'll get his.
But it was a fascinating meeting, wasn't
It was
it?
a fascinating meeting.
Yeah, and we discovered some things about Eric, and I think maybe for you as well, that we just didn't know before. Isn't that? It was very, very
That we
interesting.
actually got him. And many people have seen me here for a couple of years, and he's never been present. So that he came to see you, I was very pleased.
Yeah, so was I. I really was. Okay, so did I miss anybody? No, I don't think I did. Anyway, so thank you very much for being here. And again, I'm just thrilled that you are. And what we're going to do is we might do things a little differently today, if that's okay with you. But I want to start at this place, which is there has never, ever, ever, ever been a time like this. And I'm not meaning that in like a Buddhist sense, that there's never been a moment, bang, it just left. What I'm saying is we're seeing things happening now that we never have seen before. And we're seeing them happening at a tremendous speed. And we're going to be talking about that in just a second. But what I'd love to do, my psychiatrist is here, thank you. So it's okay. So I've had the meds and everything, so we're really quite good. So here's what I want you to do, because I'd love us to go on a kind of a journey together tonight. So what I want you to do is just turn to the person next to you. Go ahead, just turn to the person next to you. Go ahead. And you might care to look them in the eye. That's what turn to the person means. Go ahead and look them in the eye. Oh, look at that. You're adding other things in like laugh. So here's what I want you to do. When I say go, I want you to turn to them, smile, and all that kind of stuff, and give them a high five, but only when I say go, Alex, only when I say go, okay? And then you say to them, there has never been a time like this, and I'm so thrilled to be sharing it with you. Go. There has never been a time like this. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Very, very good. Wow. And, this is an example of there never having been a time like this. About 4 weeks ago actually, I was in London. This is London. Put it this way, that's certainly not Miami Main Street, is it? Anyway, so that is London, and these are the very famous London taxis. Now, why would I have a background of London taxis? Because we all have heard of Uber, right? One of those disruptive things that goes on. Let me tell you what's happened in London. The average revenue of the taxi driver has dropped 40%. 40%. On account of how there's this disruptive thing come out called Uber. So now, what would be, if you were a taxi driver, what would be your reaction to that? Well, clearly, a wonderful reaction is to block all of the streets of London so that if you are a visitor to London, there's no way that you can get a taxi or an Uber and go anywhere. Kind of makes you feel fantastic about taxi drivers, doesn't it? And you're probably going to use more taxi drivers than you've ever thought of. You know what I'm saying? Like, stupid. But anyway, I do feel sorry for the taxi drivers, but you almost could see it coming. And it's really interesting. If you were in London as recently as 2 years ago, and you've just arrived at the airport and you don't have English pounds and stuff, and you get in a taxi to go into central London, and that's typically around a 50, 60 pounds fare. And of course you haven't got any English money because obviously everybody takes credit cards, right? True, except the taxi drivers. They never took credit cards, never. And so what you begin to see is an industry which is focusing on itself. Why would we say it's focusing on itself? Because obviously they can do things with cash that they can't do with credit, if you know what I mean, right? So they focus on themselves and those internal processes and procedures, and really, mind you, I have to say that taxi drivers, it takes you in London, it takes you at least 4 years to become a taxi driver. They have to do what is called the knowledge. So they're not allowed to use GPSs and all that kind of stuff. They have to know how to go from A to B, and it's an incredibly rigorous thing. In fact, to be a taxi driver, what you do is you get, do you call them mopeds, like a scooter? Yeah. Those sorts of things. And you have to drive on those things, and they give you a set route. They say, go learn this route. And there are something like 5,000 routes or routes, as you would say, that you have to learn. And then you go to the regulatory authorities, and even if you knew every single route, they would not give it you on the first thing. What they will do is they will throw stuff at you. They will be like a difficult customer, and they will see how you react to that. And then they will say, come back in another 6 months. It's tough to be a taxi driver. So the taxi driver gets a little upset that someone can call Uber and say, can I drive an Uber cab? And bang, you're on the streets of London. Do you see what I mean? But in any event, that's probably, by the way, what's significant about that is now every single taxi takes credit cards. Right? Now, here's my point. My point is that disruption only occurs because, well, it's not only occurs, but it primarily occurs because something is happening which the customer doesn't like. Does that make sense? Or which can be done better, or which can be done more seamless. And what's interesting about that is if you look at this whole disruption thing, or to put that another way, it's like there's an extreme going on. And one extreme, these are the wrong words, but at one extreme there's like hate, I hate this thing, you know, and at the other extreme there's this thing called I love this thing. Now, the reality is there's a report that comes out from PwC, Price Waterhouse, which you might want to look at sometime. It's called the STEM report. And what it looks at is the likelihood, it looks at literally thousands of industries and professions and gives them a rating as to, in the next 10 years, whether or not you will be disrupted. Right? By the way, at the top of the list, 98.5% chance that they will be disrupted, that in, for example, Australia, they will lose 200,000 jobs as a result of it, and it's accountants and bookkeepers. Right? Interesting. But it's not just accountants and bookkeepers, and you know, you can do all sorts of other things around it. Anyway, so along comes Uber, and so along comes Airbnb, along comes all of those things. Now, do any of us, as we build our enterprises, do any of us think that it might be interesting to go get somebody to fund it, like, you know, to have a business plan and get some money to do this? Is anybody thinking this might be interesting? Yes. Well, I want to introduce you to someone who does that, and it's going to illustrate something that happens in this disruptive world. This is a guy called Jim Gertz. And Jim runs, in fact, he's what's called the disruption partner in Sequoia Capital. And those of you who know that sort of high-tech industry would know that Sequoia Capital is in fact, the top place where you would go to get some money. So if you were thinking for the moment about how this guy judges whether or not you, as an entrepreneur, are going to get the money, you would think, wouldn't you, that he would say, or they would say, you've got to have a big business plan, you've got to document all of this kind of, that's what you would think, right? Now, when we spoke, he says, you know what, it's not like that at all. He said, actually, the way we do it, he says it's a triangle. And he says it's actually a love triangle. Let me show you how they do it. He says, first of all, if you've got something new, then probably what you've got is some beta. Do you say beta or beta? Which one do you say?
Beta.
Which one?
Beta.
Beta. Okay, beta, yes. But then again, you say faucet when the rest of the world says tap. So anyway, so he says, so what we do, he said, what we do is we troll, you've got some early users, and so we troll the web. And we find out, but there's only one word that we look for from these early users. What we look for is that word right there. Now notice what that word says. It doesn't say we look for people who like it. It says we look for people who love it. Now, it's very interesting. And then only if they find 100 of these individuals who love this thing do they move to the next step. And the next step is this. They call the person up who's applied, if you like, for the money. And they ask them if they can have, if Jim asks them, if he can get hold of the app or the application or the software, whatever it is. And so he gets it in his hand and he starts using this thing. Have a guess, I told you it's called the love triangle. Have a guess what he has to do with this to move the process on. He's got to love it. Notice, not like it, not find it very useful, but love it. Okay? Now, so what I'm trying to get across to you is that the extent to which people like it, in other words, oh, it's kind of cool, means you're going to be killed. That's what it means, right? Essentially. It's got to be this love thing. I've never said that before. That was a bit tough, wasn't it? Anyway, so then only when you cross these two legs of the triangle do you get to the third part of the triangle. And that's when he invites you in. So have a guess what happens. You come in through the door. What is he looking for? When you come in through that door, what's he looking for? Well, yeah, can I love you? kind of thing. He's looking whether you love it, whether you love life, whether you come in there like, you know what I mean? If you come in there like that, sorry, what he actually says is, come in and have a cup of coffee. It'll be the shortest cup of coffee you've ever had, but come in anyway. Right? But if he sees that you love what it is that you do, that you're passionate about it, that you're exuding that in almost every step, the way in which you walk and so on, only then will he sit down with you, and only then do you have a chance of getting the money. And I'm talking billions of dollars, not millions. By the way, how many of us find that interesting? Yes, it's interesting, right? So where this leads us in the broadest sense is, what does that lead us to? What it leads us to as we develop our products and our services, whether we're industrial designers, whether we're fashion designers, doesn't matter what we are, that it leads us to this whole thought that like is no longer enough. It's no longer enough. What else does it lead us to? It leads us to same is no longer enough. Same never was enough, but it isn't enough anymore. Is that making sense? Yeah. And how about this one? Good is no longer enough. There has never been a time like this. Never been a time like this. And by the way, part of the reason that he does this is speed. And I'm going to show you what that means in just a second. And by the way, fast is no longer enough either. It's got to be like super quick, if you know what I mean. So with that in mind, let's have a look at some ideas. Oh, there's the taxi drivers again. But I want to look particularly at this idea of speed. Things are happening now at a speed that we could not imagine. Our attention span, so the people that measure these things tell us, is 6 seconds. And that's not just on the web. That is when we listen to a presentation or something. 6 seconds is all you've got. And that's a bit scary because the attention span of a goldfish is 8 seconds. Seriously, it is. Seriously, it is, right? So this is fascinating. So yeah, it is. And so this whole speed thing, by the way, on that, Amazon, who you would I'm sure know, Amazon calculated that it's amazing, that for every second additional that their page takes to load, right? Every second, it costs them $1.2 billion a year.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes. So this whole speed thing is just shrinking down. And I was talking to Antoine today about this. Let's have a look at what that means. Have a look at what happens in 1 second, just in 1 second. In 1 second, by the way, we've already had 10 seconds before I said, let's look at 1 second, 7,156 tweets in 1 second, okay? How about this one? 2,073 Skype phone calls every second. By the way, if you don't think that's disrupted the telecoms industry, then we're not in the same room. Does that make sense, man? You know, 2,000. By the way, we've now gone about a minute, so multiply those numbers by 60 seconds, or by 60. What about this one? 53,000 per second. Per second. Searches on Google. Have a look at this one. Anybody watched a YouTube video recently? Anybody done that? Have a look at what happens every second. 119,000 of them uploaded. Isn't that crazy? Just absolutely crazy. What about this one? 2.5 million emails. And I know you get half of them because I get the other half, you know what I mean? So you now you'll notice those numbers are very specific. They're not like, you know, approximately 2,500. I'll show you why they're specific in a minute. And how about this one? This is internet traffic, nearly 34,000 gigabytes, where that's, you know, 1,000, what is that? 100 million gigabytes, 100 million megabytes. So, you know, and all of that in 1 second. Show me your hands if you're stunned by that. By the way, that was 3 days. Wait there. That was a week ago. Those numbers have already changed, and you can find out exactly what those numbers currently are by looking at. Oh, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I'll show you later. You can actually go to the site, because I went there with you today, right? And you can see what's happening. In fact, would you like to see the site? You would? Okay. Watch. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing site. Let me see if it's here.